Hey, everybody. So, there's an analogy that I have that I wanted to apply to virus deniers who want to reopen the country right away, don't believe that there's a problem, or believe that we should rush towards herd immunity as fast as we can. And that's the way to beat the COVID 19 coronavirus. And my analogy that I have for them in this moment, right now, at the end of the first wave, because some of them don't believe that the measures we took were necessary. They didn't believe so the whole time, and I have many friends like this that believe that we should just do the Sweden thing and reopen everything. And look, it was only this bad, so therefore, all that we did was a waste of money and a waste of time, right? These are also the people who don't want to wear masks in public now, because, what's the use to it? They're obviously not connected to the pandemic because the pandemic's on the downslide, right? I haven't been wearing a mask this whole time, and look, it's still. Anyways, so my analogy that I want to apply to this situation comes from my own work life, and it is it's a situation, hypothetical, but it happens very, very often in my practice, where a client no longer believes that they need their medication because the medication works so well that their symptoms have been gone for a while. They've been lessened to an extent where they stop taking their medication because they no longer believe that they need it, and then they begin to derail. And then they end up back in my office, life in shambles, very horrible consequences because they stopped doing the thing that was actually making their life better. So, without telling my colleagues that I wanted to make this analogy between the two situations, I just was looking for a word for this phenomenon, right? One of my colleagues in a group discussion said it was life. Another one said cycle. And it's not the actual, specific term, but another one just said it's very common. And people are at a loss for this exact situation having a term for it, but it's a very real phenomenon. One said just regular non-compliance with medication. One who was particularly into New Age therapies said, "Oh, that's just utilizing unmedicated treatment options." One said it can be a form of denial for clients that have a lack of acceptance for their diagnosis that's just cognitively unresolved. And I feel like that is very applicable as far as the other side of this analogy, but still doesn't give a term to this. Lack of insight was another term thrown in there. Anosognosia is another one. That's basically a lack of insight into whether or not you yourself have a problem, but that's more something that you would have with or without medication. Basically, it's like the Dunning-Kruger effect of having a mental disorder. The people who are more severely suffering from their mental disorder have less of an insight into whether or not they actually have one. So it's close. It's close as a word to describing what I'm saying, but not quite. Some people say that it's a means for you to tell that the client is actually doing well, that they're doing so well that they don't realize that they still have the problem, and then at that point it's just about education. Also, something that can apply to the other side of this coin without telling them what they're actually describing. One person said decompensation from non-compliance with medication, and tried to also talk about the cyclical nature that some people apply to their medication taking. And the last term that I ran into was a med vacation. It can teach you that you need your meds, and that's good information. And when you're looking at it from the viewpoint of something that's non-lethal and that could just, cause certain problems in a person's life where they have a chance to then get back on their meds, I suppose that is a good teaching moment. But unfortunately, on the other side of this analogy, we have a situation where people are going to die because people don't realize that the social distancing measures that we took, the pandemic safety measures that we took, actually saved lots of lives. They're going to think that those measures were useless and that the people who died were going to die anyway. And their arguments for reopen everything right now are going to be effective in certain places. And that effectiveness in them reopening everything is going to lead to people's deaths. Still trying to wrap my head around all that. But if you have an idea for a term for this situation, please leave it in the comment section. I am trying very hard to find a word for this so that I can say it in shorthand. Talk to you later.